Good morning. Welcome to the live reading session from Neeto's Academy. I'm Twinkle, your tutor for the day. I know it's a rainy, lazy day, but you and we have got work to do. So let's dive into the reading comprehension session. Before we get into the reading test, I would like to give you some basic idea about reading. So as you know, reading is a module which has got 1 hour in the test. So 1 hour and you have to attempt 40 questions. And you've got different types of questions such as true, false, not given, matching headings, matching information from the passage, then filling in the blanks and so on. And the important thing is time management here because it is in your hands. So you are the people who are responsible for managing the time and finishing your test in under 1 hour. Right. So this is just a one-way conversation. So I do not know what your doubts are. So I would like you to comment in the comment section what you want me to do, whether you want me to continue doing the way I am doing right now, or you want me to focus on certain types of questions. You know, there are certain types of questions which are list of headings and true, false, not given, which are quite difficult for many of the students. So if you want me to do that, specifically focusing on that, then you just let me know in the comment section and we can get into that. Okay, so as I said, you have 1 hour for the test and you have to attempt 40 questions. And here something is very important, that is you have to go by the instructions given for each type of question. You have to follow the instructions. For example, if the instruction says you have to write one word only as answer, you have to write only one word. Write no more than 2 words. That means your answer can be at most 2 words, not more than that. And there are people who write a or an or the articles along with the answer and think that it is okay, but it is not. So you have to follow the instructions clearly. Now reading test, in a reading test you have got 3 passages, that is that would take up to 20 minutes each. But I would suggest that you finish it as early as possible. Do not wait for the 20 minutes to finish the first 13 questions, then the 20 minutes for the next 13 questions. Do not wait for that. The reason is that it is progressively difficult. Each passage becomes progressively difficult. So the first passage or the first section, you would find it quite easy. The second section would be a bit more difficult than the first, and then the third section would be the most difficult part. And you would definitely need more time to attempt questions in the third part. And that's the reason why I said that you have to just finish it off as quickly as possible. But that doesn't mean that you can rush off. There are ways to find the answers correct, to find the correct answers. Right. So let's get into the reading test, and the test which I have taken today is from Cambridge book 12, and the test will be shown on the screen. So we are going to do a full test today, and I am going to explain the answers or how I arrive at the answers. Now first thing that you have to do is read the instructions. So it's all going to be the same. You should spend about 20 minutes. That's what they say on questions 1 to 13, which are based on reading passage 1. So we are going to read about cork. Right, C-O-R-K, cork. You know what it is. Now, there are 2 ways in which people usually approach reading tests. One way would be to read the entire passage. That is for people who are really proficient in English. Those who are proficient, what they do is they just go and read the passage once and then go and check the questions and find the answers. But I would suggest that for most people that is not going to work because it will take up more time. Remember that our only aim is to find the answers to the questions. We do not need to understand what is written there exactly. We do not need to memorize it or anything. But we have to just find the answers to the questions, write down the correct answers on the answer sheet and get the score for that. That's our aim. So keeping that in mind, my method would be to read the title of the passage and then so that you get an understanding of what you are going to read about, and then go ahead and check the questions. So here we are going to read about cock. And now let's get to the questions. So the first type of questions is true, false, not given. For many people, finding if the statement is true is quite easy, but false and not given, most people find it difficult. Now there are people who say go by the keywords. You do not need to go by the keywords. You have to understand the meaning of what you are reading. Okay. So here the statement says the cork oak has the thickest bark of any living tree. Now let me explain this. This means there is a comparison. Okay. Cork oak has the thickest bark of any living tree. So there is a comparison with other trees. Now in this type of question, there is no need for you to read all the 5 questions and then go back and find the answer, because it is difficult to memorize what you would be looking for. So you just have to read one statement, then go find the answer for that, write down the answer on the answer sheet, and then come back and read the second question, find the answer from the passage, write it down. You have to go by that method in this type of question. Right. The cork oak has the thickest bark of any living tree. Let's go and check the passage. You have to start reading from the beginning. Cork, the thick bark of the cork oak tree, 𝐄𝐶 𝐂𝐶, that is the scientific name, is a remarkable material. It is tough, elastic, buoyant and fire resistant and suitable for a wide range of purposes. It has also been used for millennia. The ancient Egyptians sealed their sarcophagi or stone coffins with cork, while the ancient Greeks and Romans used it for anything from beehives to sandals. Now let's take a moment and you write down the answer. So do you think the answer is true, or which do you think is the answer, whether it's true, false or not given? Now like I said, there is a comparison in the statement, in the question statement. There is a comparison with other trees. But in this case, when we read this, we didn't find any comparison to any other trees. Okay, we didn't find any information regarding that. Therefore, your answer is not given. Okay, because it is just mentioned about this tree, cork, the thick bark of the cork oak tree is a remarkable material. That's all that it has mentioned. So therefore, your answer is not given. Right. Go back to the second question. Scientists have developed a synthetic cork with the same cellular structure as the natural cork. So here it says scientists have developed. Let's see. Cork oak itself is an extraordinary tree. Its bark grows up to 20 centimeters in thickness, insulating the tree like a coat wrapped around the trunk and branches and keeping the inside at a constant 20 degrees Celsius all year round. Developed most probably as a defense against forest fires, the bark of the cork oak has a particular cellular structure. So we are reading about the cellular structure here, with about 40 million cells per cubic centimeter. That technology has never succeeded in replicating. So there you have your answer. So the question, let me explain that in Malayalam. Question is, scientists ഒരു synthetic cork develop ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട് with the same cellular structure, same cellular structure ഉള്ള synthetic cork develop ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. But in the passage, in the second paragraph, we find about where it says about cellular structure, the bark of the cork oak has a particular cellular structure with about 40 million cells per cubic centimeter. That technology has never succeeded in replicating. That means it has never been replicated. Replicate means duplicate or adebole undakka, which has not been done. Therefore, your answer is false. Third one. Individual cork oak trees must be left for 25 years between the first and second harvest. Okay. Your question is, each cork oak tree must be left first harvest second harvest 25 years. This is what your question is. Now let's go back to the passage and read. Continue from where we left off. The cells are filled with air, which is why cork is so buoyant. So why I am reading this is because sometimes the answer comes right after the previous answer. So do not leave anything, just skim and scan. You just have to run your eyes on the reading passage, and you will find words which have similar meaning as the question. There you have to read carefully, properly, and find the answer. Right. So let's continue. It also has an elasticity, that means you can squash it and watch it spring back to its original size and shape when you release the pressure. Cork oaks grow in a number of Mediterranean countries, including Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, and Morocco. They flourish in warm, sunny climates where there is a minimum of 400 millimeters of rain per year and not more than 800 millimeters. Okay, let's just leave all these parts because it talks about how it grows. Coming down, you will see most cork forests are family owned. Many of these families, businesses, and indeed many of the trees themselves are around 200 years old. Cork production is above all an exercise in patience. From the planting of a cork sapling to the first harvest takes 25 years. So here there is a possibility of getting confused. Let's read this and I will explain it. From the planting of a cork sapling to the first harvest takes 25 years, and the gap of approximately a decade must separate harvest from an individual tree. Right. നമ്മുടെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യനിൽ it says ഒരു tree first harvestൻ്റെയും second harvestൻ്റെയും ഇടയ്ക്ക് it should be left for 25 years. But in the passage it says planting of the sapling, ആദ്യം ആ ട്രീനെ പ്ലാന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് തൊട്ട് ഫസ്റ്റ് ഹാർവെസ്റ്റ് വരെ ഇറ്റ് ടേക്സ് 25 years. Then a gap of approximately a decade must separate harvest from an individual tree, which means first harvest and second harvest in the 10 years. Decade means 10 years. So it has to be left for 10 years. Therefore, your answer again is false. I hope you have understood that. Cork bark should be stripped in dry atmospheric conditions. Right. For top quality cork, it's necessary to wait a further 15 or 20 years. You even have to wait for the right kind of summer's day to harvest cork. If the bark is stripped on a day when it's too cold or when the air is damp, the tree will be damaged. Okay, so you get your answer there. Cork bark should be stripped in dry atmospheric conditions. Obviously, summer is dry, and it says there further. It says that if it is stripped, if the bark is stripped on a cool day or when the air is moist, damp means moist, then the tree will be damaged. Therefore, this answer is true. Next one. The only way to remove the bark from cork oak trees is by hand. Right. Let's read. Cork harvesting is a very specialized profession. No mechanical means of stripping cork bark has been invented, so the job is done by teams of highly skilled workers. You have your answer there. Only way to remove bark from cork oak trees is by hand. Right. It says no mechanical means of stripping the bark has been invented. Therefore, your answer is, you write it down, true. Okay. Now, let's move on to the next type of question. So, here you have filling in the blanks. So, you have complete the notes below. choose one word only from the passage for each answer. So you have to write only one word. Now here we have comparison of aluminium screw caps and cork bottle stoppers. Now advantages, read everything, okay? Don't just read the lines with the questions, read everything so that you get an understanding of what you are looking for or where you are going to look for the answer. Right. Advantages of aluminium screw caps. There is no explanation needed there. And we have 3 points here. Do not affect the dash of the bottle contents. So are dash to produce and dash to use. Okay, so what are the advantages? Let's go back. Right, so I'm just going to leave this part because there is nothing mentioned about aluminium. Let's see, just run your eyes over these words and see if there is anything mentioned about aluminium screw caps. And let's read the next paragraph. Recent years have seen the end of the virtual monopoly of cork as the material for bottle stoppers due to concerns about the effect it may have on the contents of the bottle. So we have something here. This is caused by a chemical compound called 2,4,6-trichloroanisole, TCA, which forms through the interaction of plant phenols, chlorine and mold. The tiniest concentration, as little as 3 or 4 parts of a trillion, can spoil the taste of the product contained in the bottle. The result has been a gradual yet steady move first towards plastic stoppers and then more recently to aluminium screw caps. So here you have your words which cannot be changed. These are keywords. Keywords are words which you cannot actually change anywhere. So aluminium screw caps, there are no other words that you can substitute. So our words are and it says cork bottle stoppers and the taste, the contents of the bottle and the taste affect cheyanula. Therefore there has been a move towards plastic stoppers and then to aluminium screw caps. So what can you say here? Do not affect the taste of the bottle contents. So you have your 6th answer, taste. Now they are dash to produce and they are dash to use. Let's see. These substitutes are cheaper to manufacture. Manufacture is another word for produce. Therefore you have your answer here. These substitutes are cheaper to produce. Cheaper is your answer. And in the case of screw caps, more convenient for the user. Are convenient to use. I believe that it is quite simple. I hope you have understood that. So you have your 6, 7, 8 answers. Do not affect the taste of the bottle contents. They are dash to produce. They are cheaper to produce and convenient, are convenient to use. Now let's move on to the next set. Advantages of cork bottle stoppers. Suit the dash of quality products made from a dash material. Easily dash cork forests aid dash cork forests stop dash happening. So we have to find the advantages of cork bottle stoppers. The classic cork stopper does have several advantages, however. So now we are going to check out the advantages. Firstly, its traditional image is more in keeping with that of the type of high quality goods with which it has long been associated. Therefore you have your first answer. Suit the image of quality products. Okay, next one. Secondly, and very importantly, cork is a sustainable product that can be recycled without difficulty. So you have your answers here. Made from a sustainable material, easily recycled. Okay. Next. Now we have about cork forests. Cork forests are a resource which support local biodiversity and prevent desertification in the regions where they are planted. So you have your answer. 𝐶 is aid. Aid means what? Help or support. Another word is support. 𝐶 are a resource which support or aid biodiversity. Your 12th answer is biodiversity. 𝐶 is stop dash happening. What from happening? Prevent, stop. Desertification. They stop desertification happening. Therefore, you have your 13 answers. Now we move on to the next set of next section. So you had only two types of questions. One was true, false, not given, and completing the notes in the first section, which was quite easy. Now we have reading passage 2, and we have collecting as a hobby. So it's all about collecting things. Okay, let's see the questions now. Questions 14 to 21, complete the sentences below. Choose one word only. Again, we have completing the sentences and we have to use only one word. Now let's read what they have written. Write your answers in boxes 14 to 21. 14th question. The writer mentions collecting dash as an example of collecting in order to make money. Let's just go through 14 to through 21. Okay. Collectors may get a feeling of dash from buying and selling items. Collectors' clubs provide opportunities to share dash. Collectors' clubs offer dash with people who have similar interests. Collecting sometimes involves a lifelong dash for a special item. Searching for something particular may prevent people from feeling their life is completely dash. Stamp collecting may be dash because it provides facts about different countries. Dash tends to be mostly a male hobby. Okay, so if possible, please take a screenshot of this and keep it aside. And now I will be showing you the passage, and let's see what the answers are, if you can find the answers from the passage. Right. 14th question, let's read that. Okay, the writer mentions collecting something. Okay, the dash, so it should be something as an example of collecting in order to make money. So let's go and see. So when you start reading, collecting must be one of the most varied of human activities, and it's one that many of us psychologists find fascinating. Many forms of collecting have been dignified with a technical name. An arctophilist collects teddy bears, a philatelist collects postage stamps, and a deltiologist collects postcards. Amassing hundreds or even thousands of postcards, chocolate wrappers, or whatever takes time, energy, and money that could surely be put to much more productive use. And yet there are millions of collectors around the world. Why do they do it? Okay, so that was just an introduction on why people collect things or what collecting takes up. Okay, then there are people who collect because they want to make money. Now we have come to the question part. The writer mentions collecting something as an example of collecting in order to make money. Okay, so we have those words here. This could be called an instrumental reason for collecting, that is, collecting as a means to an end. So even now we have not found the answer because it should be the name of a thing, okay, that people collect. They look for, say, antiques that they can buy cheaply and expect to be able to sell for a profit. Now we've got the answer. So what is the writer mentioning as an example? Antiques. So your answer here, 14th answer is antiques. The writer mentions collecting antiques. Right, next one. Collectors may get a feeling of dash from buying and selling items. So it's a feeling name. But there may well be a psychological element too. Buying cheap and selling dear can give the collector a sense of triumph. Okay, that feeling name is triumph. Triumph എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ്? ഞാനെന്തോ സംഭവം ചെയ്തു എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു വിക്ടറി ഫീലിംഗ്, അതാണ് triumphന്റെ അർത്ഥം. So and you have a phrase here which I think most people will find it difficult to understand. Buying cheap and selling dear. അതിന് ഒരു ഡൗട്ട് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ലേ, ഇത് എന്താണ് ഈ സെല്ലിങ് ഡിയർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്? മീനിങ് സെല്ലിങ് ഫോർ എ പ്രോഫിറ്റ്. ഓക്കെ, യു ഗെറ്റ് എ പ്രോഫിറ്റ്. അതാണ് ഈ ഒരു ഫ്രേസിൻ്റെ സെല്ലിങ് ഡിയർ എൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം. ബൈയിങ് ചീപ്പ് ആൻഡ് സെല്ലിങ് ഡിയർ ക്യാൻ ഗിവ് ദ കളക്ടർ എ സെൻസ് ഓഫ് ട്രയംഫ്. So that was just an explanation for that phrase. I hope you have taken it down. Then a feeling name endana triumph. Collectors may get a feeling of triumph from buying and selling things. Next, collectors clubs provide opportunities to share. Okay, let's see. Many collectors collect to develop their social life, attending meetings of a group of collectors and exchanging information on items. You have collectors clubs provide opportunities to share what? Share, another word is exchanging. What do they exchange? Information. Collectors clubs provide opportunities to share information. 16th answer is information. 17th one, collectors clubs offer dash with people who have similar interests. Okay, let's go on and read. This is a variant on joining a bridge club or a gym, and similarly brings them into contact with like-minded people. What does the word like-minded mean? It means people with similar interests. Like-minded people, people with similar interests. So what do these people get who join the club get? Collectors clubs offer contact, okay, with people who have similar interests. Next one, collecting sometimes involves a lifelong dash for a special item. Okay, lifelong what? For a special item. Okay. Another motive for collecting is the desire to find something special or a particular example of the collected item. Okay, is the desire to find something special. Therefore, you have your answer here. Collecting sometimes involves a lifelong desire for a special item. Next one. Searching for something particular may prevent people from feeling their life is completely what? Okay. Some may spend their whole lives in a hunt for this. Okay, that was for the previous question. Psychologically, this can give a purpose to a life that otherwise feels aimless. Okay. Searching for something particular may prevent people from feeling their life is completely aimless. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു സംഭവത്തിന് വേണ്ടി അതിന് ഒരു പേർപ്പസ് കിട്ടും, അവരുടെ ലൈഫിൽ ഒരു പേർപ്പസ് കിട്ടും. സോ ഇറ്റ് പ്രിവെൻറ്റ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്റ്റോപ്സ് ദം ഫ്രം ഫീലിംഗ് അവരുടെ ലൈഫിനൊരു എയിമില്ല. സോ കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി എയിംലെസ്. എയിംലെസ് ഇസ് ദ ആൻസർ. നെക്സ്റ്റ് വൺ, stamp collecting may be dash because it provides facts about different countries. Okay, stamp collection കുറിച്ച് പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് എടുത്ത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. Okay. Again, when you come to it, next paragraph you find, if you think about collecting postage stamps, another potential reason for it, or perhaps a result of collecting, is its educational value. Okay, stamp collecting may be educational because it provides facts about different countries. Educational is your 20th answer. Dash tends to be mostly a male hobby. Okay, let's go and find it. So this paragraph is all about stamp collection, and we come to the next paragraph. In that we see, in the past and nowadays too, though to a lesser extent, a popular form of collecting, particularly among boys and men, was train spotting. So, which was particularly a male hobby? Train spotting. TRAINSPOTTING. That is your 21st answer. All right. Now we move on to true false not given again. It seems that in this test there are only 2 types of questions. Anyway. 22nd question. The number of people buying dolls has grown over the centuries. Okay, let's go and check. So we come to the next paragraph where they talk about dolls. Similarly, people who collect dolls may go beyond simply enlarging their collection and develop an interest in the way that dolls are made or the materials that are used. Okay, so നമ്മുടെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ എന്തായിരുന്നു? നമ്പർ ഓഫ് പീപ്പിൾ, ഡോൾസ് കളക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുടെ എണ്ണം കൂടിയിട്ടുണ്ടെന്നാണ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പറയുന്നത്. ബട്ട് ഹിയർ ഇറ്റ് സീംസ് ദാറ്റ് നത്തിങ് ഈസ് മെൻഷൻഡ്. People who collect dolls have a separate way or different way of enlarging their collection. They may develop interest in a way that dolls are made or about the materials that are used. Anyway, so this about the number of people, nothing is given. So your answer is not given. 23rd one. 16th century European dolls were normally made of wax and porcelain. Okay, 16th century European dolls were made of wax and porcelain. Let's see. These have changed over the centuries from the wood that was standard in 16th century Europe through the wax and porcelain of later centuries. So you have your answer there. 16th century European dolls made undakirunathu wood vechittanu, and wax and porcelain were used in the later centuries. Therefore, your statement is false. Aduthathu. Arranging a stamp collection by the size of the stamps is less common than other methods. Okay, stamps collect ചെയ്യുന്നവർ അതിൻ്റെ സൈസ് വെച്ച് അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നത് is a less common method. അത്രയും കോമൺ അല്ല എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. Let's see. Not all collectors are interested in learning from their hobby though, so what we might call a psychological reason for collecting is the need for a sense of control, perhaps as a way of dealing with insecurity. Okay, stamp collectors, for instance, arrange their stamps in albums, usually very neatly, organizing their collection according to certain commonplace principles, perhaps by country in alphabetical order, or grouping stamps by what they depict, people, birds, maps and so on. So ഇവിടെ nothing about the size of the stamps is mentioned, and about people arranging it by the size of the stamps, nothing about it is mentioned. Therefore, your answer is simply not given. Aduthathu. Someone who collects unusual objects may want others to think he or she is also unusual. Okay. ആരെങ്കിലും അൺയൂഷ്വൽ ഒബ്ജക്ട്സ് കളക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവർക്ക് അവരെ തന്നെ അൺയൂഷ്വലായിട്ട് പ്രൊജക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ താല്പര്യമുണ്ടാകും എന്നാണ് ഈ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് പറയുന്നത്. ലെറ്റ്സ് സീ. ഓക്കെ, one reason, conscious or not, for what someone chooses to collect is to show the collector's individualism. Someone who decides to collect something as unexpected as dog collars, for instance, may be conveying their belief that they must be interesting themselves. You have your answer there. Okay. So, someone who collects unusual objects such as dog collars may want others to think that he or she is also unusual or interesting. So, your answer to this 25th question is true. Next one. Collecting gives a feeling that other hobbies are unlikely to inspire. Collecting gives a feeling that other hobbies are unlikely to inspire. Now, what is this word unlikely? Likely, unlikely, these are all words which you come across in your reading test quite often. So you have to know the meaning of the word. Like എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇഷ്ടം എന്നാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന് വേറൊരു അർത്ഥമുണ്ട് അതേപോലെ എന്നുള്ളത്. ബട്ട് ഹിയർ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ലൈക്ലി എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇഷ്ടം എന്നല്ല, ഇറ്റ് മീൻസ് പോസിബിലിറ്റി. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഒബ്വിയസ്ലി അൺലൈക്ലി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ദർ ഇസ് നോ പോസിബിലിറ്റി. സോ ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്? കളക്റ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഗിവ്സ് എ ഫീലിംഗ് ദാറ്റ് അതർ ഹോബീസ് ആർ അൺലൈക്ലി ടു ഇൻസ്പയർ. വേറെ ഒരു ഹോബിയിൽ നിന്നും കിട്ടാത്ത ഇൻസ്പിറേഷൻ കളക്ഷൻ ഓർ കളക്റ്റിംഗ് സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് ഹോബി വുഡ് ഗിവ്. അതാണ് ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. ലെറ്റ്സ് സീ. Of course, all hobbies give pleasure, but the common factor in collecting is usually passion. Pleasure is putting it far too mildly. More than most other hobbies, okay, ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഹോബീസുമായിട്ടുള്ള കമ്പാരിസൺ വന്നവിടെ. Collecting can be totally engrossing and can give a strong sense of personal fulfillment. Therefore, the answer, what do you think is the answer? It is true. Because it says, ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഹോബീസ്, മിക്കവാറും ഉള്ള ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഹോബീസിനേക്കാളൊക്കെ കളക്റ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മളെ അതിൽ കൂടുതൽ ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. എൻഗ്രോസിങ് മീൻസ് ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ക്യാൻ ഗിവ് എ സ്ട്രോങ് സെൻസ് ഓഫ് പേഴ്സണൽ ഫുൾഫിൽമെൻറ്റ്. സോ ആ ഒരു ഇൻസ്പിറേഷൻ എല്ലാം കളക്റ്റിങ്ങിൽ നിന്ന് കിട്ടും എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. Therefore, your answer is true. See how fast we finished all that. Now we come to the last section. Okay, so here we have list of headings. Okay, the next type of question, list of headings. So this, many people find it difficult because it sounds, or okay, let me explain what list of headings is. So you have this passage in which each paragraph is named A, B, C, D and so on. So there may be 6 or 7 paragraphs, and each will be named with a letter A, B, C, D and so on. So what they are asking us to do is to find a suitable heading for each paragraph, and a list will be given to us. And most of the time, or always, I can say almost always, if there are 7 questions or 6 questions, there will be some 8 options. So that makes it a bit difficult. Another thing that makes it a bit difficult is that most of the paragraphs, when you read, if you don't quite understand what it means, it will confuse you, okay, as to which heading to choose for your paragraph. And sometimes the headings themselves, when we read it, it feels like it is the same. It's not the same actually. You have to go by the meaning of it. Okay, right. So how to approach this kind of this type of question is to first read the list given. You have 6 questions here, 27 to 32, A, B, C, D, E, F. You have the section numbers, section letters, and you have the list given here. Let's read that list. Courses, first one, courses that require a high level of commitment. So if there is a paragraph in the passage which mentions about courses which require a high level of commitment, obviously this would be the suitable heading. But let's read and see. Okay, next one, a course title with 2 meanings. Next one, the equal importance of 2 key issues. Fourth one, applying a theory in an unexpected context. Next one, the financial benefits of studying. Sixth one, a surprising course title. Seventh one, different names for different outcomes. And eighth one, the possibility of attracting the wrong kind of student. Okay, so here what you have to understand is that any writing, so whether it is a novel or a passage written, whatever it is, a news article, any writing, you will find that it will be divided into paragraphs, and each paragraph has a central idea. So it will not be, all the ideas will not be jumbled up. Okay, so each paragraph will have a central idea, and that is the concept on which we are basing this type of question. All right, now what do? We have read the list of headings. So in an exam, what you have to do is read this list, underline the important points, try to understand what these mean, and then go and read each paragraph. And we have to cross check. Okay, after reading section A or paragraph A, cross check it with this heading and find the suitable one. And also, when you write the answer, you should not write the entire thing here. You just need to write the correct number. All right, it is given here in the instruction, and like I said before, you have to follow the instruction clearly. And here it is said, write the correct number 1 to 8. So whichever the number of that paragraph heading is, you have to write that. Right. So this passage is all about what's the purpose of gaining knowledge. So we are looking at the answer to that. Paragraph A. I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any subject. That was the founder's motto for Cornell University, and it seems an apt characterization of the different university also in the USA, where I currently teach philosophy. So this person is writing about these universities. A student can prepare for a career in resort management, engineering, interior design, accounting, music, law, enforcement, you name it. But what would the founders of these two institutions have thought of a course called Arson for Profit? I kid you not, we have it on the books. Now, let me ask you, how many of you know the meaning of arson? ARSON. I'll explain what it is. It means കത്തിക്കുക. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഡെലിബറേറ്റ്ലി നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ നമുക്കറിയാം തീപിടുത്തം ഉണ്ടാകുന്നത് ആരും മനഃപൂർവ്വം തീ പിടിപ്പിക്കില്ല, ഒന്നിനെയും കത്തിക്കാനായിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കില്ല, എക്സെപ്റ്റ് ഫോർ ദ വേസ്റ്റ്, ബട്ട് ദാറ്റ്സ് എ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് തിങ്. ബട്ട് ആർസൺ മീൻസ് ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ്ങിനെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു സാധനത്തിനെയോ മനഃപൂർവ്വം ഒരു ആക്സിലറൻറ്റ് ലൈക്ക് പെട്രോളോ ഡീസലോ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഫ്യൂവലൊക്കെ ഒഴിച്ച് അതിനെ കത്തിക്കുന്നതിനാണ് ആർസൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ARSON. So how many of you knew the meaning of the word arson? I don't know, but now you know. മനഃപൂർവ്വം കത്തിക്കുന്നതിന്, അതിനാണ് ആർസൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. And you may not know this, but there are people in the world who actually enjoy doing this. Okay, അവർക്ക് സൈക്കോളജിക്കലി ഭയങ്കര ഒരു എൻജോയ്മെൻറ്റ് കിട്ടും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഇങ്ങനെ നിന്ന് കത്തുന്നത് കാണുമ്പോൾ. So arsonists, they are called arsonists. So അപ്പോൾ this in this particular passage they are asking, I mean the writer is saying, ഈ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻസിലെ ആൾക്കാർ ഈ കോഴ്സ് ടൈറ്റിൽ കേട്ടാൽ ആർസൺ ഫോർ പ്രോഫിറ്റ്, എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ്ങോ എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രോഫിറ്റിന് വേണ്ടി കത്തിക്കുക, ഈ കോഴ്സ് ടൈറ്റിൽ കേട്ടാൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും വിചാരിക്കുക എന്ന്. സോ ഹിയർ അയാൾ പറയുന്നതിൽ ദർ ഇസ് എ സർപ്രൈസ് എലിമെൻറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ സർപ്രൈസിങ് കോഴ്സ് ടൈറ്റിൽ. ഓക്കെ, you have your answer here, a surprising course title. Therefore your answer is 6. I hope you have understood that. Next one. Naturally, the course is intended for prospective arson investigators who can learn all the tricks of the trade for detecting whether a fire was deliberately set, discovering who did it, and establishing a chain of evidence for effective prosecution in a court of law. But wouldn't this also be the perfect course for prospective arsonists to sign up for? Right. So, നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ this particular passage is very complicated for to explain. So, first thing is you have to know what arson is, and there are arson investigators, those who check and see whether ഫയർ, ഇപ്പോൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ് കത്തി നശിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവിടെ ആരെങ്കിലും മനഃപൂർവ്വം തീയിട്ടതാണോ എന്നൊക്കെ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്ത് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. ദോസ് പീപ്പിൾ ആർ കോൾഡ് ആർസൺ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആൻഡ് ദിസ് കോഴ്സ് ഇസ് ഇൻറ്റൻഡഡ് ഫോർ ദെം. ദാറ്റ്സ് വാട്ട് ഹീസ് സെയിങ്. പക്ഷേ ഇതേ കോഴ്സ് പ്രോസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് ആർസണിസ്റ്റ്, അതായത് ഇങ്ങനെ സൈക്കോളജിക്കലി പ്രോബ്ലം ഉള്ള ആൾക്കാരും വോണ്ട് ദേ ഓൾസോ സൈൻ അപ്പ് ഫോർ? Won't this be a perfect course for prospective arsonists to sign up for? So നമ്മൾ ഇതിൽ ക്രോസ് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്താൽ you will get this answer. The possibility of attracting the wrong kind of student. So I hope you understood that. I'll explain it once more. Here, arson for profit, അതായത് പ്രോഫിറ്റിന് വേണ്ടി ഒരു കത്തിക്കുന്നത്, ആ ഒരു കോഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് മെയിൻലി ഇൻറ്റൻറ്റഡ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഇൻറ്റൻഷൻ എന്താണ്? ആർസൺ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേറ്റേഴ്സിന് പഠിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ്, പ്രോസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് ആർസൺ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേറ്റേഴ്സ്. പക്ഷേ ഇതേ കോഴ്സിന് തന്നെ ഈ ആർസണിസ്റ്റിനും സൈനപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം. ഹൂ വുഡ് നോ? So അതാണ് പറയുന്നത്. So possibility of attracting the wrong kind of student. Therefore your answer is 8. For 28 your answer is 8. Going back, let's read the next one. I realized this anew when I was invited to speak for a class in marketing, which is another of our degree programs. The regular instructor is a colleague who appreciates the kind of ethical perspective that I can bring as a philosopher. There are endless ways I could have approached this assignment, but I took my cue from the title of the course, Principles of Marketing. It made me think to ask the students, is marketing principled? Okay, here again, like I said, this is a bit confusing to explain. Not confusing to explain, but confusing to understand, but I'll explain it. Okay, so this person who has written this particular passage or a particular article, he was invited to take class in marketing, and the title of the course was Principles of Marketing. So what does this mean, Principles of Marketing? Principles എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ rules or things to follow, right? മാർക്കറ്റിങ്ങിൻ്റെ ബേസിക്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് ഈ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. ബട്ട് he asked the students, is marketing principled? Now what does this mean? ഈ ചോദ്യത്തിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം എന്താണ്? Principles also means this moral rules, okay, ethical or എന്താണ് പറയുക, കറക്റ്റായിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന അതിനാണ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾഡ് ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Now this is the point which we have to think about, okay. After all, a subject matter can have principles in the sense of being codified, having rules as with football or chess, without being principled in the sense of being ethical, okay. രണ്ട് സെൻസിനെ കുറിച്ചും അവിടെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. He's talking about പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ് ഓഫ് മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ്. പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ് ഓഫ് മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എന്താണ്? രണ്ട് രീതിയിൽ അതിനെ കാണാം. ഒരു രീതി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കോഡ് ഉള്ളത്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് റൂൾസ് ഉള്ളത്. ബട്ട് ദി അതർ പോയിന്റ് ഈസ് മോറലി കറക്റ്റായിട്ടുള്ള മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് മോറലി കറക്റ്റായിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിലാണോ ആൾക്കാർ ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന്. സോ യു ഹാവ് യുവർ ആൻസർ ഹിയർ. എ കോഴ്സ് ടൈറ്റിൽ വിത്ത് 2 meanings. Okay, I hope you got that. Next one, is that obvious? Okay, let's read this part again. Seed baki vaikam. Many of the students immediately assumed that the answer to my question about marketing principles was obvious. No, just look at the ways in which everything under the sun has been marketed. Obviously it need not be done in a principled or ethical fashion. Is that obvious? I made the suggestion, which may sound downright crazy in the light of the evidence that perhaps marketing is by definition principled. My inspiration for this judgment is the philosopher Immanuel Kant, who argued that any body of knowledge consists of an end or purpose and a means. Okay, now let's see. ഇതൊരു ഇച്ചിരി കൺഫ്യൂസിങ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഈവൻ ദോ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ജസ്റ്റ് 2 lines ഇൻ ദാറ്റ് പാരഗ്രാഫ്, ഇറ്റ് വാസ് എ ബിറ്റ് കൺഫ്യൂസിങ്. ബട്ട് ഡസ് ഇറ്റ് സേ, നമുക്ക് ഓരോ ഹെഡിങ് ആയിട്ട് എടുത്ത് നോക്കാം. ഡസ് ഇറ്റ് ടോക്ക് അബൌട്ട് കോഴ്സസ് ദാറ്റ് റിക്വയർ ഹൈ ലെവൽ ഓഫ് കമ്മിറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്? നോ. Second one we've already used for paragraph C, so we should not take that. Equal importance of 2 key issues, അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയുന്നുണ്ടോ? 2 ഇഷ്യൂ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ഈക്വൽ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ്? നോ. ബട്ട് he is applying a theory in an unexpected context. So we saw in this the previous paragraph about how one course title was made to have 2 meanings, okay. So it is, this D paragraph is a continuation of that, and here he talking about applying this theory in an unexpected context. Therefore your answer for D is 4. Next one. Let us apply both the terms means and end to marketing. Okay, margavum lakshyavam. To explain that simply, it is means ennu parnal margam and end ennu parnal lakshya. The students have signed up for a course in order to learn how to market effectively, but to what end? there seems to be two main attitudes towards that question. One is that the answer is obvious. The purpose of marketing is to sell things and to make money. The other attitude is that the purpose of marketing is irrelevant. Each person comes to the program and course with his or her own plans, and these need not even concern the acquisition of marketing expertise as such. My proposal, which I believe would also be Can's, is that neither of these aptitudes captures the significance of the end to the means for marketing. A field of knowledge or a professional endeavor is defined by both the means and the end. Hence, both deserve scrutiny. Students need to study both how to achieve X and also what X is. Now, if this is too confusing for people who are not that proficient in English, all you have to look for is ഇതിനകത്ത് പറയുന്നുണ്ട് ടു മെയിൻ ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സ് ആൻഡ് ദേ ആർ ടോക്കിംഗ് അബൌട്ട് ബോത്ത് സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് നീഡ് ടു സ്റ്റഡി ബോത്ത് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. ടു മെയിൻ ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സ് എന്നിട്ട് ആ ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ്സിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുന്നു. സോ ദാറ്റ് ബോത്ത് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവം അതിൽ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് അങ്ങനെ വന്നിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു suitable heading, ഒരു heading is equal importance of two key issues. So ഈ ഒരു പാരഗ്രാഫിൽ they are going on talking about two issues, two attitudes and അതിനെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള explanation, and students need to study both എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ രണ്ടും, both how to achieve X and also what X is. So അത്ര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കാനെങ്കിൽ just look for a heading which has these words or something similar like this, and you have in the third heading two key issues. So equal importance of two key issues. Next one, F. It is at this point that arson for profit becomes supremely relevant. That course is presumably all about means, how to detect and prosecute criminal activity. It is therefore assumed that the end is good in an ethical sense. When I ask fire science students to articulate the end or purpose of their field, they eventually generalize to something like the safety and welfare of society, which seems right. As we have seen, someone could use the very same knowledge of means to achieve a much less noble end, such as personal profit via destructive, dangerous, reckless activity. But we would not call that firefighting. We have separate word for it, arson. So ഇവിടെ അവർ പറയുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, ഈ ആർസൺ ഫോർ പ്രോഫിറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ജനറലി എല്ലാവരും വിചാരിക്കുന്നത് അത് ആ ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ കോഴ്സ് എടുക്കുന്നവരെല്ലാവരും നല്ലവരാണ്, അതെല്ലാവരും ആർസൺ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആവാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്, ഇൻ ജനറൽ ഗുഡ് ഫോർ ദ സൊസൈറ്റിക്കാണ്. ബട്ട് ഇഫ് സംബഡി ഹൂ ഈസ് നോട്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഗുഡ് ഓർ സംബഡി ഹൂ ഈസ് an arsonist, a prospective arsonist, signs up for this particular course, then അവർ എന്തിനാണ് ഇത് ഉപയോഗിക്കുക, ഈ കോഴ്സ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുക, കത്തിക്കാൻ. സോ ഇറ്റ്സ് ആസ് സിമ്പിൾ ആസ് ദാറ്റ്. അപ്പം അവിടെ അയാൾ പറയുന്നത് ദിസ് വൺ ഹാസ് എ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് നെയിം, അതിൻ്റെ പേരാണ് ആർസൺ. ഓക്കെ, ഫയർ ഫൈറ്റിംഗ്. മറ്റേതെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇത് നല്ലതിന് വേണ്ടി ഉപയോഗിക്കുമ്പം ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് കോൾഡ് ഫയർ ഫൈറ്റിംഗ്, ആൻഡ് ചീത്തയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഉപയോഗിക്കുമ്പം ദ നെയിം ഇസ് ആർസൺ. Therefore your answer is this. Different names for different outcomes. 7 is your answer. So I hope that was okay for you. Next we move on to the next set of questions, 33 to 36. So here it is completing the summary. Choose no more than 2 words. Here you can write 2 words. That does not mean, okay, some people have this confusion, 2 words എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 2 words തന്നെ ആൻസർ ആയിട്ട് എഴുതണോ? നോ, 2 wordsൽ കൂടാൻ പാടില്ല. So you either have 1 word as answer or 2 words as answer. Write your answers in boxes 33 to 36. The Arson for Profit course. This is a university course intended for students who are undergraduates and who are studying dash. Okay, നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം Arson for Profit എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കോഴ്സിനെ കുറിച്ച് കണ്ടത്. We saw it in the first paragraph and we'll read that part. What would the founders of these 2 institutions have thought of a course called Arson for Profit? I kid you not, we have it on the books. Any undergraduates who have met the academic requirements can sign up for the course in our program in fire science. So this is a university course intended for students who are undergraduates and who are studying fire science. Fire science is your answer for 33rd question. Next one. The expectation is that they will become dash specializing in arson. Okay, ഈ കോഴ്സ് എടുക്കുന്നവരുടെ എന്താവും എന്നാണ് expectation. The course is intended for prospective arson investigators. Now here we don't need to write arson investigators as answer because avada paranjittunde specializing in arson. So the expectation is that they will become investigators. Investigators is your answer. Next one. The course will help them to detect cases of arson and find dash of criminal intent, leading to successful dash in the courts. Okay. Naturally, the course is intended for prospective arson investigators who can learn all the tricks of the trade for detecting whether a fire was deliberately set, discovering who did it, and establishing a chain of evidence for effective prosecution in a court of law. The course will help them to detect cases of arson and find evidence of criminal intent. അതായത് ഇത് മനഃപൂർവ്വം ചെയ്തതാണോ എന്ന് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാം, ആരാണ് ചെയ്തതെന്ന് അത് വെച്ച് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാം. സോ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ഹെൽപ്പ് ദം ടു ഫൈൻഡ് എവിഡൻസ് ലീഡിങ് ടു സക്സസ്ഫുൾ സംതിങ് ഇൻ ദ കോർട്സ്. ലീഡിങ് ടു സക്സസ്ഫുൾ വേർഡ് effective. Successful പകരം in the passage they have used the word effective. Effective what? Prosecution in a court of law. Therefore your 36th answer is prosecution. Now we come to the last part, 37 to 40, and you have 4 questions which are of the type yes, no, not given. Now be careful with this because you have 2 types, true, false, not given and yes, no, not given. Most of the time what we have in our mind, true, false, not given, it's a psychological thing. We have read so much about it that we hear so much about it that we have it in our mind as true, false, not given. But ഇവിടെ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് yes, no, not given ആണ്. And in this case if you write ട്രൂവിന് പകരം യെസ്സിന് പകരം ട്രൂ എന്ന് എഴുതി വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ you will lose that 1 mark even though it is somewhat similar, the meaning is somewhat similar. ട്രൂ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും യെസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും somewhat similar ആയിട്ട് വരും. But if you write that you cannot write it interchangeably. You have to write, if the question is yes, no, not given, then you have to write yes, no, not given as answers. Okay, be very careful about it. There are lots of students who have lost marks because of this. Okay, and during your practice sessions, when you practice, please make sure that you are reading the instructions clearly and writing it according to that. Okay, yes, no, not given. Now yes if the statement agrees with the views of the writer, no if the statement contradicts the views of the writer, and not given if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. Right, let's see. It is difficult to attract students onto courses that do not focus on a career. What does it say? കരിയറിൽ ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത കോഴ്സസിലേക്ക് കുട്ടികളെ അട്രാക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. Does it say like that anywhere? We have read the entire passage and എവിടെയും അങ്ങനെ ഒരു കാര്യം നമ്മൾ വായിച്ചില്ല. So it is simply not given. 38 1. The arson for profit course would be useful for people intending to set fire to buildings. Now let's see. E part we find it is at this point that arson for profit becomes supremely relevant, and we read about that people who want to become firefighters, they talk about the safety and welfare of society. As we have seen, someone could use the very same knowledge of means to achieve a much less noble end, such as personal profit via destructive, dangerous, reckless activity. So what does this sentence mean? അത് ഒരാൾക്ക് ഡിസ്ട്രക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടും യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം, such as somebody who is intending to set fire to buildings. Therefore your answer is yes. 39th one. Fire science courses are too academic to help people to be good at the job of firefighting. Okay, ഇവിടെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട് it is at this point that arson for profit becomes supremely relevant. The course is presumably all about means how to detect and prosecute criminal activity. It is therefore assumed the end is good in an ethical sense. So, he is saying that people can be good. Okay. He is not saying that it is too academic. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സെൻസിൽ അത് പറയുന്നില്ല. So, the answer is no. Next one. The writer's 5 science students provided a detailed definition of the purpose of their studies. ഇവിടെ തന്നെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, when I asked 5 science students to articulate the end or purpose of their field. Articulate means to put into words, detail it. They eventually generalized to something like the safety and welfare of society, which seems right. So he's saying that they didn't give a detailed explanation. They just generalized and said the safety and welfare of society. What is the purpose of this course, or what is the purpose of studying this particular course in the Joichapam? They said safety and welfare of society. They didn't actually elaborate on it. Therefore, your answer is again no. Okay, with that we have come to the end of our reading test, and like I said at the beginning, please do mention in the comments if you want me to go on doing this the test this way, this live session this way, or if you want me to focus on particular types of questions, okay, such as true false not given. Then I can just gather a lot of true false not given questions and try and make you understand why such a question is true, or why the answer is true or false or not given. So if you want to do that, please do mention it in the comments, and I will do it. And here one more thing I want to mention is that ingane oru live session kandadondu matram it won't be enough. To do a reading test effectively, you have to practice a lot. Okay, IELTS is all about practice. Theory is much less. You need to practice a lot, and by practicing you will find that there is a pattern to reading. Each text, there are only there are only very less number of types of questions that are mentioned. In this particular case, you saw that it was true false not given mainly, or yes no not given, which is almost the same thing. Then you had filling in the blanks, and in one part you had list of headings. Just 3 types of questions. So and the answers, finding the answers was quite easy, right? Because you understood എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഏത് ഭാഗത്താണ് നോക്കേണ്ടതെന്ന്. So how do you gain that experience? By practice. So you have to continuously practice this before your exam. All right, with that we come to the end of the live session, and I hope you enjoyed this session, and do mention in the comments what you want me to do, full sessions or focusing on particular type of questions. I will do that eventually, but just mention so that I can know your interest as well. All right, have a great weekend to practice, and that's the end of your reading.